Okay, hi. So two people couldn't make it and one person had to leave early. So we inserted, well, me into this. And what I want to do is represent the work of Laura Bloomfield, who is a postdoc here, now a research professor here. And this is about the mental health benefits of spending time in nature. And as we've been synthesizing for this report, there's a lot of work on that. But I would argue that that work kind of is of two types. One is these short-term experiments where people are exposed to nature or not, and then immediately take some survey or test, and we get a kind of snapshot immediately after, but not for very long. And then longer-term studies about the amount of nature in your neighborhood, but those are kind of correlative. If there's nature and you live there by your zip code and things, it's not as causal as we'd like. So Laura's been leading an effort to combine behavioral science and wearable technologies and data science and essentially RCT style experiments to try to bridge the gap between those evidences, do longer term, more individualized studies of how being in nature affects you. So for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been putting Aura rings, which are these activity tracker rings, on UVM students, having them move through their lives, measuring their exposure to nature. And then halfway through the time of doing this, we've divided them into 4 treatments. One treatment just kept doing that. One treatment got free biweekly or weekly, therapy sessions. One got free biweekly exercise in a gym guided, and one got free biweekly guided walks in nature. And so the idea was to ask, now having established everyone's baseline, not only does nature help with mental health, but how does it stack up against other things we do to help with mental health? Is it in the ball game? Is it more or less effective, cost effective, and so forth? So here's what we found, my one slide. So this is time over the weeks of a semester, the spring semester of 2 years ago. This is heart rate variability, which is measured by the ring and has been really well calibrated to stress and recovery of stress. So it's a remote way of measuring mental health. And what you can see is the treatments are kind of wiggling around, but as time goes on, the green treatment, which is the nature exposure treatment, begins to separate itself from the other ones. So we find that with measurements through the ring. We find the same thing with self-reported stress measurements in weekly surveys. And we find that an individual's connection with nature, as reported, actually amplifies this effect. So those who report a strong connection with nature, their lines go even more steeply up. So again, there's Laura training some of the outdoor guides on the app that's used. And I just think this is really exciting evidence that bridges a lot of evidential gaps about not only does nature improve our mental health, but how does it stack up against other things we do in a relative effectiveness sense? So if you know Laura or see her, congratulate her on really amazing work, which is in review right now. Thanks a lot.